Today's class will be on approach to pancreatic diseases. So before we get into pancreatic diseases as such, we'll just get into the anatomy first. We'll go through the anatomy. Like you all know, pancreas is basically a retroperitoneal organ. So it's a retroperitoneal organ. It consists of a head, a body, a neck, before that, body, and a tail. Okay, and it's somewhere between the L1, L2 vertebra. So why is it important? Because it is around at this L1, L2 vertebra, behind the neck, that you have the portal vein, which is formed by the union of the splenic vein and the superior mesenteric vein. So that makes it important. Apart from that, it is about 70 to 110 grams, and you can say about 10 to 20 centimeters is the approx length of a pancreatic organ. For anyone, for a normal pancreas, this is not about a shrunken or a chronic pancreatitis. And what are the structures now? So if you look at the anatomy, you have the head, which is below, right? So anterior to the head, what lies above that is basically the stomach. Like you all know, the pancreas forms the stomach bed. So the antrum of the stomach, or the pylorus, you can say, the pylorus, the duodenum, and the transverse colon. So these are the anterior relations of the head. Whereas what comes anterior to the neck of the pancreas or the body of the pancreas, you have the antrum of the stomach and you have the transverse mesocolon. So these are anterior to the body of the stomach. What is posterior to the neck? That is important. That is your union of your superior mesenteric and your splenic vein. Then you have the structures which are posterior. So what lies posterior to the head? Like you can see from here, you have the IVC, you have the aorta is basically behind the body more than the head. Okay, so what is behind the head? You have your IVC, you have your medial border of the kidney, you have your suprarenal, you have the renal vein arising from the IVC. So these are the structures which are retroperitoneal. Whereas the posterior to the body, you have the aorta, the origin of the superior mesenteric, on the left crest of the diaphragm. Then, of course, the left kidney, the left adrenal, and the splenic vein. So where is the tip of the tail, not the tip or the tail of the pancreas that goes into the spleen. So that touches the spleen. That's why whenever you have a disease of the tail of the pancreas, along with that, you will have to go for a splenectomy as well. That explains what are the different relations. This is about the gland. So mainly you have to remember it forms a stomach bed, and anterior to it, you have the pylorus of the stomach, you have the duodenum as well as the transverse colon. Now, this is about the duct. So why is it important to know the duct? Any ductal dilatation means there is some obstruction. So whenever you have an obstruction anywhere, proximally what happens, there is a dilatation which happens. So it is important to know this because a ductal dilatation is one remarkable feature of chronic pancreatitis. So a ductal dilatation, you do not expect in an acute pancreatitis. It is in a chronic pancreatitis that you have a ductal dilatation. So what is formed of the duct? What are the dimensions of the duct? So you have the duct, which is actually the main pancreatic duct, is the duct of the Santorini, like you can see. It begins from the tail. Okay, so it drains actually the different lobules. So this is actually formed by the union of the small ductules. You have it keeps on draining. It comes somewhere between the superior and the inferior margin of the pancreas. So you have your superior margin, this is your inferior margin. Somewhere between that courses your main pancreatic duct, that is the duct of Santorini. This also recedes and this comes down, and once it comes down, it becomes somewhat horizontal at this point, where it is combined with your common bile duct, and that forms that opens together, forming a channel. First, you have a small channel which is produced, that is about 4.5 millimeters around, you can say the common channel. And as the common channel progresses beyond 4.5 millimeter, it opens into your second part of your duodenum. The second part of your duodenum, that is your papilla. So that is what you can see in your D2 when you do an endoscopy, the ampulla. Okay, the ampulla vata, which is supposed to be the papilla, that's a major papilla where the combined CBD and the pancreatic duct opens. Apart from this, you have something called as a minor papilla. Okay, so ampulla is actually your major papilla. So you have something called as your minor papilla. So what do you mean by minor? Minor comes a little anterior to it. This is your minor papilla. That is because you have a small duct, an accessory duct, which arises from here and drains mainly the head region, okay, the head of the Dunsmere process, and that joins with the main pancreatic duct. That together actually combines with the common bile duct. But in some patients, what happens is, in about 70% of the population, this is the usual thing. That is, you have the drainage of the pancreatic secretions coming from your main pancreatic duct. It is joined by the ventral duct. Together, they form the main pancreatic duct, which combines with the CVD and opens at the ampulla. But in about 10% of the patients, what happens is there is some discontinuation out here. And hence, what happens when there is a discontinuation out here, the main source of drainage instead of the major papilla becomes your minor papilla. So instead of coursing down this way, it courses this. And everything comes to minor papilla. So minor papilla, what happens? It is not used to taking this much pressure. Okay. So the common bile duct and this thing together, they, drains the secretions out into the minor papilla. So that becomes difficult, and that can cause sometimes pancreatitis because the pressure is high over there. But this is about present in about 10% of the population. You have, that's what is called as a pancreas divisum, which means the pancreas itself, the drainage is partly divided. So out here, that you can see in this is the normal one. This is, you have the main pancreatic duct. From the accessory joins this together, they open along with the CVD into the major papilla. But when there is a discontinuation here, see, you can see this. Here there is a total discontinuation. Here there is a partial discontinuation. Here there is totally absent. So what happens? The main thing goes into the accessory duct and it drains into the minor papilla. So when it drains into the minor papilla, the pressure over there is very high and there can be reflux of the secretions back into the pancreas. This causes pancreatitis. But this is usually present in about 10% of the general population. That's why studies say that as such, pancreas divisum is not a cause for acute pancreatitis. Okay, definitely it's not a cause by itself for chronic. Pancreas divisum as such does not cause. Along with pancreas divisum, you should have a modifier which also contributes to causing pancreatitis. So definitely a pancreas divisum alone does not cause, it is only along with a modifier, that is a coexistent risk factor should also be present, and that is what causes pancreatitis. Okay. Now, what are the dimensions of the duct? That is another important thing. You have to know what are the dimensions of the duct, because only if it goes beyond that, you can say the pancreatic duct is dilated. So the head, it's about 5 mm, it's about 4 mm the body, and the tail is about 3 mm. So if your tail is more than 3 mm, you say the pancreatic duct is dilated. Okay. And if you have your head which is more than 5 mm, then you say it is a significant it may be a significant pancreatic dilatation of the duct. So that is what we have to know about the anatomy of the pancreas.